The kitchen was dressed for celebration, streamers curled across the ceiling, a banner with, "Happy 12th Birthday Mason," hung slightly crooked above the table. Bright paper plates were stacked neatly next to party hats that had yet to be worn. In the center, a store-bought chocolate cake waited, its candles unlit. Mason sat quietly at the table, legs swinging under his chair, eyes locked on the front door. He wore his favorite t-shirt and had carefully styled his hair, just like his mom had helped him do that morning. His fingers fiddled with the corner of one of the hand-written invitations he'd spent all week preparing. Each one had his name, a smiley face, and, "Please come," written in blue ink. The clock on the wall ticked louder with every passing minute. 4:30, 4:45, 5 o'clock, the party had started 30 minutes ago. Still, no doorbell, no voices, no footsteps. His mom peeked from the kitchen, holding a dish towel she wasn't really using. She watched her son's hope drain with each tick of the clock. Her heart clenched, but she forced a smile when he looked her way. "Maybe they're just late," she said gently. Mason nodded, trying to believe it. But the truth sat heavily in the silence, no one was coming. Outside, a breeze stirred the balloons tied to the mailbox, making them dance as if mocking the stillness inside. Inside, the only sound was the quiet hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of the old house. He didn't cry, he didn't complain, but in that stillness, disappointment settled around him like a fog. It wasn't about the gifts or the cake. It was about being remembered, being wanted, being seen, and right now, he felt invisible. Then, knock knock, someone was at the door. It was a breezy Wednesday afternoon when Mason stood at the school gate, a small stack of hand-written birthday invitations clutched tightly in his hands. His backpack hung lopsided from one shoulder, his shoes scuffed from kickball. But his face held hope. He'd spent hours writing out each card the night before, carefully drawing smiley faces and balloons in the corners. His mom had even let him use her glitter pen. "It makes things feel special," she'd said. And Mason believed her. As the final bell rang, a wave of students rushed out, chatting, laughing, pushing past one another. Mason approached his classmates hesitantly, offering each invite with a shy smile. "Hey, I'm having a party this Saturday. You can come if you want." One boy took the invite, glanced at it for half a second, and shrugged. "Maybe," he muttered before tucking it into his pocket without looking. A girl barely slowed down, taking the card with a distracted nod before turning back to her phone. One kid glanced at it, crumpled it without thinking, and tossed it toward the nearest trash bin. Mason froze for a moment, then kept moving, kept smiling, kept offering, but each response chipped away at something inside him, a quiet erosion of hope. They weren't mean, they weren't cruel, they were just busy, distracted, unaware of how much it meant to him. By the time he reached the sidewalk, the stack was gone, and so was the light in his eyes. He tried to stay hopeful, tried to believe that maybe they'd come, maybe someone would show up. But even as he walked home, head down, Mason couldn't shake the feeling that in a world moving too fast, he was just another face in the crowd. One easily forgotten. The sky outside had faded into soft hues of orange and purple, casting long shadows across the living room floor. The candles on Mason's untouched cake flickered, unlit. His mother stood beside him, forcing a smile through the ache in her heart. She reached for the matchbox. "Should we just do the candles, sweetheart?" she asked softly. Mason nodded, trying to be brave. "Yeah, just us," he whispered. She struck a match. The tiny flame danced toward the candle wicks, when suddenly, knock knock, they both froze. Another knock, louder this time. Mason's head snapped toward the door. His mother blinked, then hurried across the room and opened it. There, on the porch, stood Mr. Thompson, the janitor from Mason's school. A quiet, older man with kind eyes and grease-stained hands, usually seen pushing a mop or fixing lockers. Tonight, he held a warm pizza box in one hand and a small, wrapped package in the other. "Hey there, Mason," he said, his voice gravelly but gentle. "Heard it was your big day." Mason stared, speechless. "I know I wasn't exactly on the invite list, Mr. Thompson continued, "but I found one of these in the trash yesterday. Thought maybe someone should come by." Mason's mom put a hand to her mouth. Mason took a step forward, eyes wide with disbelief. "You came," he whispered. Mr. Thompson smiled. "Wouldn't miss it." Tears welled up in Mason's eyes, not from sadness, but from something warmer. Gratitude, connection, joy. As they sat together at the table, sharing pizza, laughter, and the surprise gift of a worn book titled, Heroes in Real Life, the room, once heavy with disappointment, now felt full. Someone showed up, and that changed everything. The living room had taken on a quiet glow, the soft lamplight casting gentle shadows on the walls. The balloons still drooped slightly, and the half-melted birthday cake remained untouched. But the room no longer felt empty. Mason sat cross-legged on the floor, a slice of pepperoni pizza in one hand, giggling at something Mr. Thompson had just said. His mom leaned on the couch behind them, watching with a smile that finally reached her eyes. Mr. Thompson took a bite of his own slice, then reached into a small paper bag beside him. "Got something for you," he said, pulling out a worn, cloth-covered book. Its corners were frayed, the cover faded but lovingly kept. He handed it to Mason with care. Mason read the title aloud, his voice soft. Heroes in Real Life. He looked up, puzzled. "It's about firefighters and stuff." Mr. Thompson chuckled. "Some of 'em, yeah. But mostly it's about everyday people. Folks who did the right thing when no one was watching. People who showed up when it mattered." Mason turned the pages slowly, his fingers brushing over handwritten notes in the margins. The book felt special, like it had already lived a dozen lives. "Why give it to me?" Mason asked, glancing up. Mr. Thompson met his gaze. "Because being kind is a superpower too, kid. You've got that in you, I can tell." Mason didn't speak right away. But in that moment, something shifted inside him. A quiet warmth, a sense of worth that no party crowd could ever give. He hugged the book to his chest. They didn't light the candles. They didn't need to. That night, Mason received more than cake or presents. He got something far greater, the understanding that someone saw him, believed in him, and reminded him that kindness makes heroes. The school hallway bustled with its usual chaos, lockers slamming, laughter echoing, sneakers squeaking against linoleum floors. But Mason moved through it differently now. His shoulders weren't hunched the way they used to be. His eyes, once fixed on the ground, now scanned the faces around him. He didn't walk faster to avoid being noticed. Instead, he walked with a calm, quiet confidence, like someone who had discovered something valuable inside himself. In his backpack was the worn book Mr. Thompson had given him, Heroes in Real Life. He hadn't stopped reading it. It was more than a book to him now. It was a reminder. As Mason passed the lunchroom, he caught sight of a kid sitting alone at the end of a table. New face, new backpack, head down, picking at his food. Invisible to the crowd, just like Mason had once felt. He slowed, watching for a second. Then, without hesitation, Mason turned and walked over. "Hey," he said casually, "you're new, right?" The boy looked up, startled. He nodded. "I'm Mason. You wanna sit with us?" The boy blinked, then offered a small, surprised smile. "Sure." As they walked together, Mason felt a quiet pride swelling in his chest, not loud or showy, but real. He didn't need a birthday party or a crowd to feel seen anymore. He just needed to remember what it felt like to be left out, and then do the opposite. Because one person had shown up when no one else did. And now, he could be that person for someone else. That day, Mason didn't just share a lunch table, he shared a piece of his heart. And in doing so, he discovered the true meaning of a hero, someone who makes others feel they matter.